Welcome back, SLS1101 students, to the second lecture of our course. The second lecture is going to contain Learning Objective 1, describing the culture of the college and designing an academic success plan. Last time we met, we went through the parameters of designing that academic success plan for Module 1, Assignment 1, preparing for that course. And this time we're going to go more into the role of the college, the purpose of the college, and hopefully why you are investing in the future of your education. This is going to be called Class 2 for our second lecture, and if you're following along in your textbook, this goes along with Chapter 1, The Rewards of College. This is Part 2 of the three-part series related to Chapter 1. So let's dive in. Last time we spoke on the videos, I asked you to start thinking about goals that you want to accomplish, not just inside the classroom throughout the semester, but outside the classroom and the other things that matter most to you in your life. So I'm going to show you a couple of the goals that I work on whenever I'm not in the classroom myself. These goals on the next few slides, they're fun to look at, but as you are looking at them, I want you to know that I put the same tenacity and the same goal setting and the same planning and dedication into all the goals that I work on outside of the classroom as I do inside of the classroom. And I encourage you to start getting in that same mindset. To treat your classes and the things that occur inside the school with the same type of dedication as you would your other passions in life. If you play an instrument, if you play a sport, if you have a hobby or you're artistic and you do something creative along those lines. Think about all the work you would do if you were pursuing a project on an assignment like that you're passionate about, and start putting that same type of mindset into your homework and your school related activities. And you'll find that the more you approach your school activities with that same mindset, the less it will feel like school or something that you have to do, and the more it will start feeling like things that you want to do. And as a result, you'll get more out of it. So pause the video now, and if you haven't done so already, be sure to be thinking about your goals you want to accomplish inside and outside of the classroom. I want you to write these down and focus on these, because I'm going to bring them up throughout our semester together. So a couple of brief looks into some of the projects that I do. Whenever I'm not inside the classroom, I like to work with my hands. I like to construct things, usually around my house, to increase the value of my home. This is a picture I saw a few years ago now of a patio that I thought looked pretty cool. I've never done anything like this before, and I thought I'd give it a shot. I completed this entire project 100% on my own. And this is the final outcome of that project. This is the patio that extended off my pre-existing patio, and that's just a real quick snapshot of the final project. But there's obviously a lot that went into this phase of the project. The next project that I took on a couple years after that was a pool. This is kind of a rough sketch of what I thought the pool would look like. This isn't the engineered plans, obviously, but kind of just looking at my backyard. This is a new house, by the way. I sold that previous house, and I wanted to put a pool in, and I saved about $20,000 by building the pool myself, so I contracted out all the work on my own. So here is the real rough sketch of what I wanted the pool to look like. And this is the final project. I've never done anything like this before. I had to go pull all the permits. I had to call in all the inspections. I had to find out the phase cycles of all the things that go on inside of a pool. Phase 1, dig the hole. Phase 2, put down the forming and the metal supports. So this was the final project of the pool. So I had the pool, and the next thing I wanted to do as far as project goes, this would have been under a year ago now. I wanted to put another deck, kind of like that last one you saw, onto my back patio, and I wanted there to be a fire pit kind of right in the middle there. And so I wanted to do all of this from scratch. And this is the fire pit and the deck that I built from the ground up, with metal supports for the fire pits, and then the brick fascia there. And then I actually poured that concrete top for the fire pit also, and that was the final project there. So a couple of things that I've got going on whenever I'm not inside the classroom. I enjoy taking on big projects, breaking them down into smaller, more understandable chunks, and then approaching those on a step-by-step philosophy, just like I would items inside of my professional life. Last one I'm going to show you is this is another rough sketch of a waterfall that I wanted to build across the back of the pool. This one was really challenging, much more challenging than I thought it would be. So this is just a rough sketch of it. And this is my most recent project that is the final result of that waterfall. And you can see the fire pit there in the background also, and then the pool. So this is really everything once it came together. So a little bit of what I've got going on. I'm working on new projects this semester, and I'll update the lectures as those projects become finalized. So all of this starts with a plan. It starts with saying out loud that this is what I want to accomplish. And then once you have that end result in mind, breaking it down to say, well, what comes before that? What should my halfway point look like? What's the very first thing that I can do to take the first step towards that ultimate goal of what you want to accomplish? And it might be a 2-year associate's degree. It might be a 4-year bachelor's degree or a master's or even a doctorate. But it might just be completing one single class too. So think about your goals and what those look like, what a halfway point looks like, and then even what's one thing that you can do today to get you one step closer to that goal. What's one thing you can do this week? Put them into action. If you don't verbalize these and put a plan into place, the likelihood of them ever happening is almost zero. So take a moment and think about what your goals are for the semester. And I want you to pause the video to do this. I want you to actually write these goals out in your notebook. If someone asks you what you're working on right now, what would you say? These goals could be related to academics, professional goals. Maybe you already have a job and a goal is to get a better position either with your current employer or maybe by another employer. So what can you do where you're working right now to either get a raise or a promotion? Or maybe you want to start a new job. Put that into writing and start focusing in on that throughout our time together. Financial goal. Do you want to save some money throughout our time together? How much money? How are you going to save that money? Are you going to bring in more money or are you going to change the way that you're spending your current finances? So have that financial goal. A health goal maybe. How is your active lifestyle? Are you working out? Do you have an exercise routine? Do you already join a gym? Do you do things on the side like play basketball or play golf? Is there something on the health side that you want to work on? Is there a diet that you want to try out? Think about what you want to accomplish throughout the semester or anything else personal to you. Something like maybe you've always wanted to write a book. Maybe you've always wanted to learn a new language. Maybe you've always wanted to try something new. So think about what you're working on this semester, things that you naturally want to do, and then also the things in your life that you're almost required to do or obligated to do, things maybe even like going to college. So think about a way to correlate all these items together, but write them out. We're going to come back to them throughout the semester. We're going to check in on, are you making any progress on these goals? So be thinking about that. Getting into our learning objective, talking about the role of college. Why do people go to college? So everybody goes to college for their own personal reasons, even though we do have a common theme in a lot of the reasons why the majority of students go to college. Here is some data on the majority of those students and why they're attending college. If for any of these slides you want to look at the data more carefully, feel free to pause the video. For the sake of time, I'll go through some of these pretty quickly, but you can see that the leading reason why college freshmen say the most important reason for attending college to them is 86% to be able to get a better job. Better jobs usually relate to more money, and we'll talk about both of those items today throughout our time together. So another thing I want you to do, so make sure you have notebooks out whenever you're watching these videos. I want you to write down some more items for me real quick. This is the topic of your individual needs versus your individual wants as far as finances go on a monthly budget. So in the way of a monthly budget, what are some of the items which would be considered needs or wants in your own personal life? Needs, things like having food, having shelter, having the power on, having running water, having a way to get to and from work, all of those things that are required to keep your life on the trajectory of which it's going, the things that you have to have. So make a list of all of those needs. Take out some paper and keep a list of those items and keep a list of how much money per month you would estimate those needs to be. And keep that running total. We're going to come back to that number in just one moment. So have all of your monthly needs written out, how much money those needs cost per month. Like for example, electricity. My electric bill last month was somewhere around $290. So keep a list of all of those needs. The water bill was only $80. Think about, do you need to have a car payment or do you already have a car? Think about other items that come up on a month-to-month basis that you have to have. Pause the video now to get your list of needs and give me a total at the bottom for your monthly budget of your needs. We're going to get an idea of what your salary requirements are going to entail. So needs, pause the video, write them out. After you complete your needs, let's have a look at your wants, the things that you simply want to do. No one's trying to simply just get by. You want to excel at life. You want to be able to appreciate some things that you wouldn't have had otherwise. So give me another list now of the things that you want to have. take out some notebook paper, keep a list of these wants, and keep that total running as well, and we'll come back and add these numbers together in just one moment, your needs and your wants. So what are the things that you want to spend a monthly amount on? Keep an idea of what those are. Going out to eat maybe, entertainment with friends, traveling with family, whatever those items are, have a monthly budget and add them all up together for your grand monthly total. Pause the video now while you complete that task. So the purpose of completing this activity is to get an idea of what your bare minimum salary should be to determine that lifestyle. So for all those categories you applied, add them all up together to get an idea of what your monthly income has to be, your monthly budget. Add your totals from your wants and your totals from your needs. Once you do that, we're going to escalate this to an annual scale. So multiply that monthly number by 12 to get a rough idea of your annual salary required. Now your annual salary is going to have a few things removed from it. It's going to have your taxes and other items that come right out of your take-home pay. So let's account for that number by doing a little bit of math. The formula is here, but what I want you to do is divide your budget by 0.82, and that's going to give you the annual salary you need at your job to support that lifestyle you have in front of you. So add up your needs, add up your wants to get your grand total. Multiply that by 12 so you have it on a yearly scale, and whatever that number is, divide it by 0.82, and that will tell you what you need your salary to be to maintain that lifestyle. Do that now and pause the video as you complete that task. Here is a graphic of what the average American household spends their income on and how much that correlates to. So again, pause the video and have a look at this graphic and compare the numbers represented here to the numbers that you came up with. This is on an annual scale. So did you account for roughly $17,000 for housing? Did you put in almost $9,000 for transportation throughout the entire year? Entertainment, food, all the other items. Have a look. There's more interesting information here also. The average income before taxes is $63,000. The average vehicles owned are 2. The average age of the U.S. consumer. So have a look at all this information and compare the information on these on the statistics here to the information that you estimated in your own personal budget before. So that's a little bit about why people go to college. Now let's talk about the flip side. Why do people drop out of college? So the number one reason why students drop out of college is finances. It's reported in 38% of students, and it's the number one reason. In my own personal experience, I found that financial aid was easier to obtain during my first 2 years of college. Once I went for my bachelor's degree, it was a little bit more challenging not to have to pay out of pocket for my bachelor's degree. And then once I started pursuing my master's degree, it's almost impossible to get any sort of financial help for your master's degree outside of taking student loans. So that was my own personal experience. So sometimes the money just runs out and students stop going to college. Number one reason. Students fail out of college, so they lose interest in their classes, they start getting Fs. Even if you have financial aid, if you start getting Fs, that financial aid will stop. You'll be put on suspension and then probation, and then you might lose that financial aid. But the one I really want to mention here is outside jobs, reported by 71% of students. What this looks like is you're in college for a year, maybe 2 years, and you have a part-time job, or maybe even a full-time job, but then that job offers you more money. Maybe something along the lines of $40,000 per year is a number that I see a lot for those entry-level jobs. And students sometimes say, well, I've got this job now. Do I really still need college? I would tell you to be careful about numbers like that, because $40,000 as a college student might sound appealing, but $40,000 a few years down the road doesn't hold that same value. $40,000 to me in my early 20s is a whole lot different than what a $40,000 salary would be for me right now in my mid-30s. So think about, is that really the amount you want to make for the rest of your life? Not having a college degree puts you at a disadvantage if you were to drop out of college as far as things like promotions or being more marketable or finding other avenues of work. So be careful of the outside jobs. It's one of the highest reported results of students leaving college, and it has that instant gratification of having a nice paycheck for a little while, but that paycheck tends to stay at about that same amount throughout your entire career. So be careful with that one. So I want you to consider if someone offered you that job today, but you had to drop out of college to take it, what would be the least amount of money you'd be willing to accept on your annual side? You've already seen a little bit with finances so far. You have seen your budget. You've seen a little bit about the average US household budget. So what would your annual salary have to be in order to be enticing enough to drop out of college? Think about that. Pause the video if need be. I want you to consider this. Going to college is a risk. You're risking your time. In some cases, you're risking finances. You're risking other things as well. But I want you to keep in mind that a college graduate, on average, earns $40,000 more per year than someone without a degree every single year. Over the course of an entire career, that works out to be over $1 million difference for someone with a degree versus someone without a degree. So if you have financial goals related to college, you're probably in the right place. A college education pays off $1 million on average over the course of a career. And right now, unemployment is at over a 10-year low, 3.5% locally in St. Lucie County. So the job market is hot. You should find work even if you stay local. If not, some jobs do require relocation, and we'll talk about that during your career presentation. But the job market is hot. Only 3.3% unemployed as of November 2017. You can see the history here. It's the lowest that it has been in a very long time. So the job market is hot. Looking at even when the job market wasn't so hot. This is during kind of the peak of the Depression. This is 2009, and these are the unemployment rates there. So even when unemployment was very, very high, people with a bachelor's degree or higher were still the ones finding the jobs. Their unemployment rate was only 5.2%, which is roughly half than a high school graduate that doesn't have any college experience, and about a third of what someone who dropped out of high school was on the unemployment scale there. So even on times are tough, the college degree still pays off. A little bit about entry-level salaries here, and you can pause the video and look at this in more detail if you'd like to, but you can see the bachelor's degree obviously pays off the most of these options with the average salary over $60,000. Someone with a high school graduate degree has about $30,000, so almost double the amount of money there, and then the high school dropouts hovering just about $20,000, and that's where that $40,000 discrepancy comes from. Someone without a high school degree to a bachelor's degree, $40,000 every single year. So have a look at that. I also want to tell you some options as far as the types of degrees, especially the ones offered at Indian River State College. Community colleges or state colleges are represented here in the blue. These are state colleges and universities and the average salary based on degree. I want to point out 3 degrees to you. The college offers AA degrees with an average starting salary of $40,000. The college also offers AS degrees. They're both 2-year programs, but an AS degree is designed to put you right into the workforce after those 2 years and not transfer into a bachelor's degree. Those salaries start at almost $47,000, so roughly $7,000 more than an AA degree. The main purpose of an AA degree is to transfer into a bachelor's program. And I'm sorry, I was pointing at the wrong AA degree. This is the AA degree, $36,000. So a $10,000 discrepancy between those two numbers. The main purpose of an AA degree is not to stop college with an AA degree. The main purpose is to transfer into a bachelor's degree program here, where the entry-level salary on average is about $51,000. So those are the 3 different types of degrees the college currently offers. AA degrees, AS degrees, and then the bachelor's degree. One more thing I want to point out, these purple bars here are for state universities. The average income from a state university graduate on the bachelor side is only $42,000 on the university side. Almost a $9,000 difference there between the Florida college system, like IRSC. So there's a big difference. But even on the Florida college system, the AS starts off on average making more money than the bachelor's graduate from a university. So that's a big difference. I say this all to point out to you that if you haven't considered the AS programs, they might be something worth looking into. An Associate of Science versus an Associate of Arts, and the BA and the BS programs for the 4-year side. These two typically take 2 years. The bachelor's is an additional 2 years after that. But if you know that you're not going to be a long-term student, if school never came easy to you and you're thinking about how you can shorten your experience as much as possible, I would recommend the AS degree well over just simply maintaining an AA degree. You would only want to pursue an AA degree to turn that into a bachelor's degree. But I want to just kind of highlight some of the AS programs here at the college, and you'll have a chance to explore more of these during our career presentation. These are a list of the current AS programs at IRSC. Pause the video if need be, and these can all be found on the website as well. But here's the first section. Here are some more AS programs at the college. 2-year degree programs put you right into the workforce. An average starting salary of roughly $46,000, $47,000 per year. And these are the last of those also. So have a look at the website if that's something that's interesting to you. Before we go too much further, let's talk about some other salaries. So here are some just annual wages of technical workers out in the field. You can see that some of these are higher than others, contractors being the most, but get a feel for what people are making so you know what a good salary is versus a slim salary. Pause the video if you'd like to and have a look at each of these. These are some more professional jobs and some more skilled labor jobs. Utilities are high on here. You'll also find that anything involving the medical field is going to be very high. Pause the video if you'd like to. Have a look at each of these salaries and again, get a feel for what an average level salary is based by profession. On the flip side is the lowest salaries. This is the minimum wage by state. In Florida, it used to be $8.10 minimum wage. Now it's $8.25. If you do the math, $8.25 per hour, working 40 hours per week, every week of the year works out to be about $17,100 per year. Have a look at the numbers that you found so far. What was your annual budget need? What were some of the professions that you saw? What were they making? It's very, very difficult to get by on $17,000 per year for an individual. So have a look at what the other side of the coin is on the minimum wage. Whereas the minimum amount that you are going to legally be paid in Florida is $8.25, they find that living wages in Florida is really closer to $19.47. And living wages are the wages that is kind of the minimum you can make just to get by. Having a 2-bedroom apartment, putting food on the table, keeping the lights on. I mean, it's simply just getting by. And if you multiply all this out, the minimum living wage in Florida is closer to about $40,000 just to get by. So we saw the average U.S. Household has about $50,000 coming in. The break even in Florida is roughly $40,000. So not a lot of wiggle room in that amount as far as salary goes. Some more information about St. Lucie County. Again, having that bachelor's degree puts you in a higher threshold. The average in St. Lucie County of people 25 years or older with a bachelor's degree is only 15%. 15 people out of 100 in St. Lucie County have a bachelor's degree. That's not very many. So by going all the way through and achieving that bachelor's degree, you're putting yourself in a limited group of people that are in higher demand. So you're setting yourself up for success. Other averages here. Average household income in St. Lucie County is $46,000. That's not individual. That's an average household of 2 people. $46,000 average household income. We saw the cost of living is roughly $40,000 in this state. So there's only $6,000 of wiggle room there as far as what you're making above and beyond just getting by. So if the car breaks down or you have a medical emergency, what happens? $6,000 does not go a very long way. So those numbers are a little bit scary, but by having that bachelor's degree or that AS degree, you're putting yourself in a better place to have that income that's going to support your lifestyle. In St. Lucie County, this is where the jobs are typically distributed. So thinking about what you want your profession to be thinking about also, is it something that you're going to stay local to achieve, or are you going to move to a larger city or a different area in the U.S. or a different country altogether? And again, you'll have more time to explore those answers throughout our time in the class together as we transform all the information we talk about into what's going to ultimately be the best career for you when we get to Module 5 dealing with careers. But have a look at this, pause the video if necessary, and be thinking about all the items that we've talked about so far throughout this lecture. So as I wrap things up now, I want you to focus on the things in your life that are important to you and set those goals for those priorities and pursue your education with the same determination as you would the other passions in your life. Because it truly is your education that's going to open up all those doors for you. So you need to treat it as something that is as important as it is. So know the answer to why you're going to college and keep that end in sight anytime the going gets tough. We all have bad days where you say, maybe I won't go to class today, or maybe I'll take one fewer classes this semester, or maybe even I'll drop a class. Don't make decisions based off of small outcomes like that. Be thinking about the end and keeping that end in sight and keeping you on gear and focused. Know also why people drop out of college and avoid those pitfalls as to why students leave college. Once you leave college completely, it's much more challenging to come back. It's almost like whenever you haven't been to the gym for a week, then the next thing you know, it's been 2 weeks, and then it's been a month and you haven't been to the gym at all. So keep going to college, keep showing up. If you're not a full-time student, try to take more classes, maybe even one more class per semester. That will help you graduate much more rapidly. Continue completing all of your Module 1 study activities and read Chapter 1 related to the content we've discussed today. Module 1 Assignment 1 is your next assignment that will need to be completed by the assigned due date, and I will discuss Module 1 Assignment 1 in a separate video. So for the time being, thank you for watching. We have one more video coming for Chapter 1. Complete those study activities and be thinking about your passions and your goals throughout the semester so we can continue to work on those as a group as we come back to these videos for each additional lecture. Thanks for watching, and I'll see you next time.